Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack some fascinating sources and pull out the key insights for you.
That's right.
Today, we're looking at something familiar, Adam Smith's invisible hand, but with a twist.
A very modern twist.
Yeah, there's a new invisible hand emerging, one that looks set to, well, completely reshape our economy. We're talking about artificial intelligence.
Exactly. And our mission today is to really dig into how AI is already changing things and how it might fundamentally alter economic policy, especially, for central banks.
We've got some great material to work with, insights from a Bloomberg television discussion, some heavy hitters involved.
Yeah, macroeconomists Larry Summers and Sasha Steffen from the Frankfurt School of Finance. Really sharp perspectives.
So this is really crucial for you, listening in, to get a handle on what AI means for, well, everything. Interest rates, jobs, how financial institutions are trying to figure this all out.
It's a big shift. Let's get into it.
Okay, so Larry Summers first. He talks about AI causing a kind of macroeconomic earthquake. Strong words.
They are. And he focuses first on the neutral rate of interest. R star.
R star, right. That theoretical rate where the economy is just ticking along nicely, not too hot, not too cold. Stable inflation, full employment, that ideal spot.
That's the one. And Summers' prediction. He thinks R star is likely to be higher.
Higher.
Perhaps even considerably higher over time because of AI.
Wow, okay. That's a pretty big call for such a core economic idea. Why? What's the thinking behind that?
Well, he gives two main reasons. First, just the sheer scale of investment needed. Think massive investment in data centers, servers, all the infrastructure AI runs on. That sucks up capital, pushes rates up.
Okay, demand for capital. Makes sense.
And second, he points to a potential acceleration in the rate of growth. If AI really boosts productivity across the board, the whole economy grows faster.
And faster growth usually means a higher neutral rate, right?
Generally, yes. So
Yeah.
those are the forces pushing R star up in his view.
But then it gets interesting because Summers also suggests AI could be disinflationary, pushing prices down or at least slowing their rise. How does that square with higher rates?
Yeah, it sounds a bit like a paradox, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's about different effects happening at once. The disinflationary part comes from that potential acceleration of productivity growth.
So making things more efficiently.
Exactly. He even draws an analogy saying it could be as the internet was during the 1990s.
Oh, I remember that. The whole new economy productivity boom that helped keep inflation surprisingly low even while the economy was, well, booming.
Precisely. So AI isn't just one thing. It could drive investment demand, pushing rates up, and boost efficiency, potentially pulling inflation down. It's complex.
That complexity must be what's keeping central bankers up at night.
Absolutely. And it's not just the macro picture. Summers also touches on jobs, which is, the big question for a lot of people.
Right. The spectrum of views is huge, isn't it? From just disrupting industries to these really big existential challenges.
Yeah, he acknowledges that. He says AI isn't quite replacing jobs to the degree that people thought it was going to. Not yet, anyway.
But jobs will change.
Oh, definitely. Jobs will change. And he's clear that some jobs will totally go away. It's more evolution and displacement than immediate mass unemployment, at least for now.
But Summers himself seems to have had a shift in thinking on the bigger threat, the existential one.
Yes, that was quite striking. He mentions that, not long ago he thought a true existential threat was a long way off.
And now?
Now he says it's quite likely that sometime in the next 20 years, these things will get smarter than us.
Smarter than us?
Yeah. And we really need to worry about what happens then. That's a major shift from someone like Summers.
He doesn't say exactly why he shifted his view so dramatically.
Not in this clip, no. But the implication is the speed of development has just accelerated beyond what even he anticipated. It forces you to reconsider those longer-term risks.
And that uncertainty feeds right back into central banking. Like, how does AI mess with the Phillips curve?
The Phillips curve. The classic trade-off, right, between inflation and unemployment. That's core to the Fed's dual mandate.
Exactly, that balancing act they're always trying to manage. So how might AI change that relationship?
Well, Summers lays out two opposing possibilities. It's really quite uncertain.
Okay, what's the first one?
One idea is that AI could make the economy more flexible. If that happens, prices might become more sensitive to demand and unemployment.
Meaning a small change in, say, demand could swing inflation more.
Potentially, yes. But then there's the counter-argument.
Which is?
That more rapid underlying productivity growth, that efficiency gain we talked about, could lead to less sensitivity.
How so?
Because if the economy has more capacity, thanks to AI. It can absorb shifts in demand more easily without triggering as much inflation. It kind of expands the speed limit of the economy.
So AI could make the inflation-employment trade-off sharper, or it could make it flatter. We just don't know.
Pretty much. Summers is very cautious here. He says it's difficult to know and flat out admits nobody can be confident in their judgments about this kind of thing.
That's sobering, if the experts are saying that.
It is. He guesses the impact on the neutral rate, R star, will probably be more salient, more noticeable than changes to the Phillips curve, but it's still just a guess.
So fundamental uncertainty at the heart of monetary policy. Wow. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to Sasha Steffen's perspective. She brings it down to the more practical level for central banks, right? Forecasting.
Exactly. She points out that improving forecasting is one of the most common or most natural ways central banks can start using AI right now. I mean, they constantly need to predict what's coming for rates, growth, inflation.
And AI can make those predictions much more precise. How?
By massively increasing the toolbox and the methodology. AI can analyze existing data, think bond markets, loan data in completely new ways.
Finding patterns humans might miss.
Finding patterns, doing it faster, using data in completely novel ways. But it's not just crunching the usual numbers differently.
What else?
It's about bringing in totally new kinds of data. She mentions using information from websites, images from satellites, even social media.
Social media, like Twitter or X.
Yeah, she actually did a study using AI and Twitter or X specifically to build an index of inflation expectations.
Tracking what ordinary people, households think inflation is going to do.
Exactly. What do individuals, like households, have an idea about how inflation is going to develop going forward? Those expectations are gold dust for central banks.
Why are they so critical? For the Fed, the ECB.
Because expectations can become self-fulfilling. If everyone thinks prices are going up, workers demand higher wages, companies raise their prices preemptively, people might buy things sooner.
And that behavior actually causes inflation.
Precisely. So getting a real-time read on those expectations, maybe better than traditional surveys, could be hugely valuable for policy.
Okay, so AI gives them better forecasting tools, uses new data. Does this mean human forecasters are out of a job?
Steffen doesn't see it that way. She emphasizes AI can complement the professional forecasters, not necessarily replace them.
Complement how? Central banks rely heavily on, surveys of economists at big banks and institutions, right?
They do. And the idea is to train the AI on the lives of the professional forecasters.
On their lives? What does that mean?
Well, basically feeding the AI data about how they have actually voted or what they have done, their past forecasts, their backgrounds, what is their job, what they learned.
So the AI learns to think like the experts.
In a way, yeah. And interestingly, she notes that existing research already tells us that there is a high degree of overlap between what the human pros predict and what these AI models predict.
So if the AI is just mimicking the humans, where's the added value? Is it just faster?
Speed is part of it, sure. But it's also about scale. The AI can process vastly more information, maybe spot correlations across different data sets that a human team just wouldn't have the time or capacity to see. It's like augmenting human intelligence.
Okay, augmenting, not replacing. But this power, it must come with risks, right? Especially for institutions like central banks where stability is paramount.
Oh, absolutely. Steffen flags several major concerns. One is the risk of hallucinations and bias.
Hallucinations, like the AI just making stuff up.
Kind of, because these models learn from data human beings have generated. And human data isn't perfect. It has errors, it has biases.
The old garbage in, garbage out problem.
Exactly. And the worry is the AI doesn't just reflect those biases, it leads to perpetuation of these biases. And for a central bank, biased output could lead to really bad policy decisions.
Okay, bias is one thing. What about market reactions? If AI is suddenly processing all sorts of new information.
That's another risk she calls information sensitivity. New data hitting the market via AI could potentially trigger extreme reactions, maybe a complete meltdown, like stocks suddenly tanking based on some AI-driven insight.
Wow. And does AI also make the system riskier overall, more interconnected?
That's a key point. AI likely means more connections between institutions through shared data, shared platforms. This could lead to an amplification of existing risks.
Like a domino effect.
Yeah, if one domino drops, the others might actually drop as well, potentially faster and wider than before because of these AI links. Increased systemic risk, potentially.
And then there's the issue of understanding how the AI reaches its conclusions, right? The black box problem.
Yes, a really absolute important point. If you have a complex AI model and you don't actually know how it works, how can a central bank verify it or certify it?
You can't just say, the computer told us to raise rates.
Exactly. If things go wrong and you can't explain the reasoning, you could face a massive loss of trust. Public trust, market trust, which is, devastating for a central bank.
These are serious downsides. But on the flip side, can AI actually help manage risk? Maybe spot problems earlier.
Yes, that's the other edge of the sword. AI's ability to process huge amounts of data means it might spot relationships that otherwise humans might miss.
Catching systemic risks before they blow up.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Stefan gives a really compelling example. Silicon Valley Bank.
SVB. What does she say about that?
She argues that AI would have spotted imbalances earlier that humans missed. Apparently, all the publicly available data was pointing exactly at that.
So the warning signs were there in the data, but maybe too scattered or complex for human analysts to piece together quickly enough?
That seems to be the implication. She believes AI could detect risks emerging in systemically important banks, and other banks too, based on things like liquidity consideration, much, much earlier.
That ability to see emerging risks early, that could be incredibly powerful for preventing crises.
A potential game changer for financial stability, yes.
But even with that potential, given the risks of bias and hallucinations, we can't just hand over the keys to the AI, can we? Human oversight seems critical.
Absolutely non-negotiable. There's a crucial need for human beings, economists presumably, to check what's going on to make corrections.
Because the errors can get worse if left unchecked.
Exactly. If you don't correct them, as I understand, there's compound. So you need that human check. It's a warning against relying on AI too much, just assuming these models actually know what's going to happen.
So it's not about replacing judgment, it's about making judgment better informed, but still human-led.
Precisely. And this puts a huge emphasis back on education, on educators and institutions, making sure people still understand the underlying theory in economics.
So they can actually evaluate the AI's output.
Yes, to ask, is what the model actually tells me? Something that's actually plausible or something that's not right. You need that foundational knowledge to sanity check the machine. The human in the loop is essential.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here. This deep dive really highlights the profound, almost paradoxical nature of AI's impact on the economy. It could boost growth efficiency, but also raise interest rates. It can improve forecasting massively, but comes with risks like bias and hallucinations.
And it might help spot the next financial crisis, even while potentially making the system itself more interconnected and maybe more fragile. It's complex.
Definitely complex. And it demands, as you said, that human wisdom and oversight remain absolutely central, perhaps even more so than before.
Couldn't agree more. Which leads us to a final thought for you, our listener.
Go ahead.
Given everything we've discussed, how AI is poised to reshape economic indicators, forecasting, risk assessment, how might your own understanding need to evolve? How do you keep pace when that classic invisible hand starts looking less human and, well, a lot more algorithmic?
Something to really mull over. How do we navigate a financial world increasingly driven by AI? That's the question.